Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have been given the task here this morning to present the recommendations of the Religious Summit. As was mentioned, the Religious Summit was held in April 2012, a few months ago, and we were all happy and excited to be there, and we did have some very interesting deliberations and some very informative discussions. And coming out of that deliberation and that consultation by the religious groups, several recommendations were made and several topics were discussed. And I want to break it down into the topics and the recommendations under each topic. Under topic 1, the solutions to challenges facing marginalized people, the participants suggested that 1, there should be more interfaith conventions where members of different religious groupings can meet and learn about each other and their religion. And 2, indicated that there is a need for educational reform with the inclusion of religious studies on the curriculum of both primary and secondary schools. In addressing the topic of religion and superstition, recommendations articulated were centered on the need to educate Barbadians about African religion, philosophy, and history. And secondly, the necessity to embrace the cultural expressions of music, art, dance, and storytelling, which reflect an African heritage. The alternatives suggested for the resolution of societal issues stemming from the topic of human sexuality were essentially based on 1, bringing together professionals to discuss human sexuality as it relates to religion and morality, and 2, researching how the church can include science in its teaching about human sexuality, inclusive of faith, hope, and love. With regards to topic 4, the role of faith in the development of society, participants believe that A, getting faith back into communities through programs and social activities with the assistance of government, combined with educating the society about various religions in order to encourage understanding, respect, and tolerance, and implementing parent education programs would ensure that faith is understood at the community level, and by extension that it is strategically positioned as a tool for advancing social well-being and development. The point of faith in the development of society was strongly urged at that summit, getting back to the roots of faith, and so it was a very important part of the whole summit, and it came out as one of the strong points. Additionally, recommendations for intervention under the topic of family life and religion included 1, getting families back into the church and getting the church back into communities, as well as 2, reinforcing value systems which are bound in the church and which are currently not being embraced in society. In regards to topic 6, crime and its impact on society, it was suggested as follows: use of research and funding towards rehabilitative programs for those who have been incarcerated in order to reduce recidivism, and implementation of mentorship and educational programs for parents and children. So these were the topics that were discussed and the recommendations that came forward. Now, based on these recommendations, the early stages of the implementation plan going forward will be as follows: setting up an action committee to review the recommendations and design a strategic action plan. 2, establishing an advisory task force with the mandate of developing a national development mission to include strategies, timelines, etc. 3, appointment of a director of religious affairs. And lastly, appointment of a religious representative on the social partnership. Most importantly, the time frame in which persons can expect at least 2 of the outcomes from the committee and advisory task force to be implemented is set for the month of October 2012. Let's keep the faith that the recommendations chosen for implementation will be successfully carried out and will ultimately impact positively on the development of the Barbadian society. This morning's consultation and tomorrow's as well is also an outcome of the Religious Summit, and we wish that it comes off as positively and as successfully as did the Religious Summit. I thank you very much.